Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the garden. It's been a couple of weeks and it is time to update you as to what is going on. Today, we're going to be planting some cool plants here in the garden. I've got some really special varieties from some special friends. We're going to be putting those into the garden and setting up a little bit of succession here in the garden. We're going to be talking about what that is and why that's important. But first, like I said, let's do an update. So let's cut to a montage and I'll show you exactly what's going on here in the garden right now. So as I mentioned, plenty is happening here in the garden and it's very exciting. We've got a few flowers that are coming up either from the old cover crop, or we've got the beautiful citrus that is flowering. We've got a few of the chrysanthemums coming through as well. It's really exciting to see some of the seeds that we planted popping up, things like the nasturtium, the pigeon pea, which is all part of this succession that we're wanting to talk about today. We also have a couple of new plants, like I was saying, from some friends, specifically Sarah from Basili Living Herbs. We managed to score some beautiful basil from her, which one you've already seen, the sweet basil is in the garden bed already, but we've got a couple more to show you that are going to go in the garden bed today, as well as some natives that we picked up from the friends at the Moreton Bay Regional Council. So it's very exciting that we're going to be planting some natives, we're going to be planting some plants from our friends to support our friends, and also you get to see some of the beautiful varieties of plants that we can actually achieve here in southeast Queensland. Now let's go around the back. I'm going to take you to where those plants are, where my little plant ICU, my little quarantine station, where some of the plants are out the back. I can show you what we've got and what's going in today and what the state of these plants are looking like currently. Okay, so here is my little plant quarantine station. You can see down here we've got the amazing stinging nettle that was from Cam and Organic Ferments. That one's pumping, it's looking nice and green. And now here we go, here's one of the plants. We've got this beautiful basil here. This is an African blue basil. This is from Basili Living Herbs. Just over here we have another one from Basili. This is the perennial basil, a very popular option here in Australia. Very, very good for the bees. Beautiful plant, and I'm so excited to get that into the ground. Full sun, very hardy, so perfect for what we've got out the front. This is a white Tulsi rather than sort of the normal, more purpley one that you might see regularly, but this one is going to go in as well. Can't wait for this one, such a good medicinal herb. Just underneath here we've got the ashwagandha. Remember, this one is beautiful for a nice calming herb. It's used quite popularly today in today's society. But this one we've got, it's kind of sprawling out of this pot. It's filling it out. This one's from Charmin Australis. Enjoying some of the morning sun here on the plant stand, but we're going to get that one in the garden maybe a little bit later. I might let that one fill out until we've got a little bit more canopy space. Same with this one underneath. Now this one's a mushroom plant. You can't really see this one too well because it's struggling a little bit in the heat from its transplant. Remember, I have been away. I've been trying to rescue some of these plants, but this one is a mushroom plant. It's really exciting. Works well in a bit more shade. Again, another lovely basil-y plant. This one is the purple musk. This one's used for relieving things like mucus congestion. It's such a cool little one and some nice little flowers. I've got it in this little plastic container, trying to reuse containers. But this one we're going to keep here on the plant stand as well. Unfortunately, the beautiful lemon balm next to it that we got has been knocked over quite a few times by the dogs. So this one is in definite quarantine for the now because it's got to be coming back. You can see some of it died off underneath, but it'll come back. We'll give it some love and it'll do well. Same up here with this peperomia. The peperomia is finally coming back. It was well overwatered when we were away, unfortunately, but that's just one of the things that you've got to deal with. We'll skip to the top row. You can see this one. This is such a cool one. This is a TBM cactus. Just sprouting out a new little pup there. These take forever. Like this one's quite a few years old, but really interesting one. We've got a nice sort of pharaoh cactus there. I think that one is. My Buddha fig, this one is slowly growing some new leaves. It really struggled for a while getting nice and dry in there. You can see the soil is all dry. So a few of these need an up pot. We've got some succulents on the end just looking nicely. They've just reached their pot. And down here, this is my cool little Monstrose crest where it's starting to really fill out this pot. I absolutely love cactuses, so that one's really cool, and it's got a little chicken on the side there. Now the first native I want to show you is this one. This is the Acacia myrtifolia, the myrtle wattle. It's a red stemmed wattle, works well in the full sun. It's probably going to grow to maybe 2 meters high. This is our first native that we got from the wonderful friends at Moreton Bay Council. So I just want to show you this one. This is the healthiest one actually, but we're going to get this one and we're going to use it as a screen, and I've got it up on the phone here so you can see the little label. This is what it's eventually going to look like up there. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see some beautiful flowers on it, which are going to bring in some bees. So we're very much excited to have that happen. So that one's going in very, very soon. This next one that's not quite doing so well, unfortunately, these two have dried out a lot over the weekend that I've just been away working. But this one, which is the square-leafed broom, the bead bush, or one of those really long names there. Now that one, again, is a native, and we're very excited to have that one in there. And the last one that, again, is a little bit wilting and not doing quite so well, you can see is the cat's whiskers, the Java tea tree. I'm not even going to pronounce that name, but look, it's going to produce some wonderful flowers again for us, for our native bees. And it's a little small shrub that shouldn't get too massive, but will produce a little bit of shade for the rest of the ecosystem. These two just need some water. They need to get into the ground, and hopefully they're going to kick off again, and we're going to have some natives in our garden. But before we put all of those plants in, I want to talk a little bit about succession. And this is a really good example because we've got all of this cover crop that's grown back here slowly. And I'm letting it strategically grow back for a reason. You can see that there are some taller plants here, some of the grasses, some of the brassicas. These ones are providing shade for the understory of clover that we see underneath. It's now creating layers of humidity, of moisture, of sunlight, and all of these things are able to allow different plants to thrive in different areas. Now, if we are clever, we can actually use this to our advantage. We can be starting to plant trees. Look at the sun's coming out this morning. We can start to plant trees, shrubs, bushes, and things, like I said, like some of these natives, that can act as those taller, shade-giving trees and allow some of those plants to be able to be grown underneath where they might not usually be able to out here in the full sun. So that's why we have our wonderful friend Sarah from Basil allowing us to have some basil, because basil's going to grow up, it's going to enjoy that full sun, it's going to be pushing flowers out for our pollinators, and it's going to allow all of these understory plants, some of the things like I showed you, the mushroom plant or even the ashwagandha, some things that can go underneath something and have a little bit more of a chance of surviving in this hot heat. I promise you, it gets really, really hot out here. Even though the sun is not on this garden yet, you can see this is fully exposed, but a good example of some different layers. Remember, that's why we also had the ginger in here as well, because that provides that shade layer and allows things underneath to thrive a little bit better. One other plant that I just got from Basili is this one. This is the elderflower plant. I'm such a huge fan of an elderflower. I had a really good, strong connection to the elderflower cordial, actually. My beautiful grandfather used to make this plant into a wonderful cordial, and I enjoyed it as a child. So this kind of plant is something that I'm really excited to get into the garden, but we need to treat it properly. The roots can get hot and it doesn't like it. So it's down in a sort of shady position now. I've put it down here in amongst the cover crop. So again, we're providing this little natural helping barrier of a few things. We've also got the banana and some of the chilies around here that are helping to create some shade, but it's surviving nicely, and I think we'll be able to plant this soon once it fills out this pot. Now, when we look into nature, we can see examples of this succession happening all over the place, okay? There's a big swing, a natural swing that goes from a desert, a completely barren landscape where we have our pioneer plants. We've spoken about these before, our weeds and our grasses, our pioneer species that can bring life to that soil initially when there is literally nothing. It's rocks and sand. Then the progression moves, this natural progression moves all the way over to a really dense, thick rainforest or an old growth forest where there's an enormous amount of diversity, fungal matter, and everything on the other end of the scale. It's theorized that it actually moves and oscillates between these two states in a really long time scale, which is really interesting. But if we understand where the land is moving itself, whether it's on that sandy soil side or it's all the way over on the old growth forest side, we can actually use that to our advantage to work out, okay, where do we need to be planting things? How can we help it move along to a place where we want it, where we can start having the plants that we would like in that space? It is not smart to be working against nature in this way, because you are going to be pushing back against everything that the natural cycle wants to do. We can see in this area underneath the fruit trees where we used to have all of this cover crop, we've actually got quite a fair bit of it coming back up. We've got some snow peas down there, some buckwheat that's coming back, but we're showing that the pioneer species, a couple of grasses and weeds are starting to pop up. When we have bare areas of soil, this is how the natural progression starts. These pioneer species come in and they start to transform and cover this whole area to bring it back to that diversity that we're after. A really good example here, obviously, we've got the wonderful sweet basil in here. We've got a little marigold that's poking its head out there as well, and some clover, some understory species. But if you have a look through here as well, you can see little mushrooms popping up under there and all sorts of things happening in this understory of the larger cover crop. Now, granted, this is still pretty small and low to the ground. It's only sort of the same height as the bridge currently. But once we start putting in some plants that are going to go a little bit higher than this, it'll manage to grow up and we'll have a lot more shade, more layers, and ultimately more plants available to us to grow in this beautiful space.
A few moments later.
It's now a few hours later, actually. I had to duck inside. Judy called, look, I'm a father first, and unfortunately the garden has to wait in these instances, so I had to go and help my little boy out. But we're back. You can see how quickly this garden has just, opened up into the sunshine. We can see all of this, space is just getting flooded with sunshine. From early on, it's still like 8 o'clock in the morning, so it's still getting flooded, but we've got a couple of plants that we're going to be putting in today, as I said, but a couple that we're also not. So these ones, for example, this is the perennial basil. This perennial basil we're not going to be putting in today, but we're going to be placing in its actual place that I'm thinking it's going to go, because then it's going to be in and amongst the ecosystem. It's going to have a chance to fill out this pot and its root systems to expand into here, so that it's got a nice, decent root ball for when we put it down into the ground. Same goes for this wonderful African blue basil. This one's already starting to come back in the pot, but look, we want to just fill out this pot first, give it a nice big root system. Same with the ashwagandha. It's actually been filling out this pot quite nicely, but we're going to do a little bit better of a job and put it in its position, allow it to sort of fill out a little bit and get used to the spot that's out here. This Roma Tulsi, same thing. It's looking pretty good. It's going to fill out that pot in no time, but we're going to just use this area. We're going to use what's growing around here. We might even just place it down in a little nice dark damp hole like that, and it's going to allow it, let me just show you. So if we put this down here, we can sort of tuck him in. It's going to allow a little bit more coverage of the sides so that we don't get that moisture loss. It's getting it used to this position, and it's also getting some shade, some humidity, all these different things from the plants around it. So I think this might be quite happy in this particular spot, to be honest. I think this might be a really good one on the edge. I'm not sure if we're going to get any pawpaw growth out of this, but you know, we'll see. Hopefully we wanted a pawpaw somewhere. Whether it comes here or not, we don't know, but the basil will still thrive underneath it. I think we better space out these basils. So this one might just go right in the middle here. There's kind of like a bit of a section that's been dug out by the bush turkey, so I might kind of put it there. This one does have a bit of color on the edge of the pot, so it's not going to lose it as quickly as a black one or a clear one, but it is also going to lose moisture pretty quick. So if we just put it there, we're going to build up some stuff around the edge, and then it should be surviving just for the time being. Ashwagandha, this one's a little bit more of a shade-loving plant. I've got a couple of my shade-loving plants, or more shade-tolerant plants, just under here, like the borage and stuff. So what I'm doing is kind of creating and using this red ginger that's coming up as this shade, so it gets, once the mid part of the day crosses over, then we get a little bit more shade from this, and it's gonna just keep it nice and protected under here. Bit of moisture. Again, see how it's just sort of sitting up on top? I want to maybe bury it, bring some mulch up around it, and just kind of tuck it in so that we know that it's a little bit more protected from moisture loss. And finally, this beautiful Tulsi. This one's so special. I think we're going to keep this one down here, down this end, just near the elderflower, remember. We're just going to tuck this one in underneath here. I might take a few of these little brassica leaves off and throw those down on top. And this one can survive in this little ecosystem underneath here. Again, let's pull up some mulch and just tuck it in, kind of make it a little bit better. Look, even this, look under the mulch, you can see this is mycelial growth. We're already starting to see some of this mulch breaking down with some heavy rain. Look at it. It just looks so good. We're getting beautiful breakdown in our mulch pathways already. First and foremost though, we are going to plant these natives, okay? So these 3 natives, we're going to pick a spot and we're going to put them in. Now, we may not let them grow up to their full potential. They might be too big. They might actually get too crazy. Unfortunately, these sad little natives are desperate to go in the ground. These are the ones that we have to plant today. And look, it doesn't really matter where I'm putting them. I'm kind of using this space, like I said, to build succession and work out what I want. If I don't want to plant in here, this area is manageable for me. I can just take it out. I can chop it, I can drop it, and I can replace it. Now, these particular plants, remember we have a couple of shrubs, we've got a couple of things that are going to give us a little bit of meterage in terms of height. I'm going to pick some spots just randomly throughout the garden bed and just to see how they go. And if they don't fare well, so be it, on to the next. But if they do, then it's going to provide a good ecosystem, natural flowers for our bees, and then also, like I said, some shade, some protection from the elements, and hopefully going to be good for the summer season ahead. The first one we're going to plant is this acacia. Now, the acacia is a really, really pretty one. It's got some really beautiful little leaves underneath and then some big ones on top. This one at the end of this garden bed here is going to give us some very quick and achievable shade. Now, I'm literally just going to plonk it in the end here, but before we plant it, we're going to be adding some of the mycorrhizal fungi mix. Mycorrhizal fungi, they attach to the root systems. They're going to extend this root system out underneath into the soil, collecting resources and able to build a big root network for this plant to survive and ultimately thrive. Now, this is in a cocoa core sort of pot thing. You can actually plant this whole thing in directly. I'm going to see if I can get it out, but if I can't, we could just plant this whole thing directly in and it's going to break down in the soil. All the root systems are going to come out the side and it's ultimately going to be absolutely fine. So giving it a little squeeze around the edges, as you might normally do to try and get one of these things out. And we're trying to gently, oh, that has come out. So you can see the root systems on there. It's not crazy full, but we do have a root system already, and it did come out of the pot. So it's gonna give it definitely a better start. Now I'm just gonna pull apart some of this soil, make myself a little hole in the garden bed. Getting our mycorrhizal mix, I'm gonna dust it into the hole first, just a little bit. So you'll be able to see there, just a little bit dusted around the edge of the hole. I'm also then gonna dust a little bit, if you can see, on the edge of the actual root ball here. Just a little bit, that's it. Now that's attached and it's ready to go. So we dunk that straight in the hole, popping that in the hole just like this, and then tucking in and around, nice and secure. Perfect. So that one is planted, nice and easy. We can also sort of pull things around it, some of these extra bits, create some mulch underneath for it and just protect it, but also make sure that it has access to as much photosynthesis as it can, because we want this one to grow more than all of the rest of them. So for this particular one, I thought this might be quite cute because it's not got a huge amount of leaves. It's not going to generate a huge amount of coverage from the sun, especially with the state it's in right now. But I thought this would be kind of cute coming out from underneath this bridge. So what I need to do, I want to leave this because it's got some flowers on for the bees, but I'm going to come around the other side and we're going to create a spot just under in here, just under the bridge. So if I pull apart the soil, nice little hole there, little dusting of mycorrhizae. Wow, super dry already, super dry. So we're going to put this down into the hole and tuck her in. Can't do that very well with one hand and film at the same time, I'm sorry. But that's now tucked in underneath the bridge there. So hopefully this should sort of build out and create a bit of a nice flower bush coming out from underneath there. Last but not least, this kind of, I think this one's the cat whiskers actually. This one, the really dry and disheveled one, we're going to try and put over into this other garden bed over this side, kind of near where this basil is going to be, but we're going to move it across a little bit further over and maybe put it over to the side here. This has got a nice gap in it, so let's go in, dig a hole. This bed has some nice moisture in it actually, and it's developing some root systems and things in there, but it's got some nice moisture already. Again, little dusting in the hole. And this one, because I can only do it with one hand, I'm just going straight in, and then a little bit more dusting on top. And this one, try and stand him up properly, push him back, build up that soil around the edge there so that he's nicely protected. Now, it's already wilting and it's already very hot. These are plus 30 degree days, you know, getting up towards that 90, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're gonna have to put in some water now into this area. These little cocoa pots are so cute and so good. Very easy, handy, reusable. And like I said, you can just bury them in the soil and they'll break down eventually. But I'm gonna reuse these because these are awesome. So make sure we're using these and a lot less plastic. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Just a quick update for today's video and a couple of the examples of plants that are going in. Shout out, thank you so much, Sarah from Basili, for providing some of these. Obviously, you know, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I want to support my friends, so I'm buying all of these things. But also shout out to Moreton Bay Council for the natives. Always get some natives in your garden if you can. I'm going to go around and sort of collect a bit of soil and things around these pots and some mulch and stuff so that some of them don't dry out. And then I'm going to give this whole garden a nice good watering, get some penetration in there with some of the water and bring some of those natives back to life, set the soil around the root systems and wet that mycorrhizal fungi inoculant so that it can start doing its job, attaching in and around those root systems and extending them out into the soil. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you've got any plant suggestions that you think I should be planting in here. Some things that you'd like to see me try and grow, some things that you'd like some education on. But more importantly, let me know if you enjoyed the video, because I really get motivated when I hear feedback from you guys, that it inspires you and you love seeing this transformational journey. So let me know in the comments, leave a like as always, subscribe for more, and I'm so excited to see you again next time on the next video. Okay, bye for now.